It's good to see each one of you here tonight. It's always good to have a break like this, in the middle of the week, come together and gain strength from each other. Tonight I want you to think for a few minutes about politics. You know, this country is a divided nation. I'm not sure we could get our leaders to agree on the time of day. I tried to think of some things that we might agree on. I came up with two. One of them is that things are a mess. They're not going to get any better. They're going to get worse. We have several examples in the Bible that we can look for crisis. The second thing that we're going to have tonight to think about is crisis. There was a crisis in the Hebrew nation many years ago. And for you Bible bowlers, the next 2 minutes is going to be a review of the first 32 chapters of Exodus. For 400 years, over 400 years, the Israelite people had been in Egypt, much of that time in slavery. They first came as guests, but very quickly turned to slaves. God raised up the man Moses to lead the people out of Egypt. First, there was a series of 10 plagues, convinced the Pharaoh to let the people go. When they left, Pharaoh had a change of heart. He sent his army, or went with his army, after the people. Very quickly, the Israelites were trapped between the Red Sea and Pharaoh's army. They saw Moses stretch out his hand. The waters parted. They moved over on dry land. When the people got across the sea, he raised his arm again. The waters came back and drowned the army. As they were going through the desert, they came upon some water that was bitter. They saw Moses throw a tree into the water, and the water became sweet. They got hungry. Moses and Aaron told them that food would be provided morning and evening. They got thirsty again. They saw Moses strike a rock, and water came out. After 30 days, they came to the base of Mount Sinai. God wanted Moses to come up on the mountain. Moses left, and he was gone 40 days and 40 nights. Long before he came back, the people got restless. They got concerned. And I'd like to read Exodus chapter 32, beginning in verse 1. Now, when the people saw that Moses delayed coming down from the mountain, the people gathered together to Aaron and said to him, "Come, make us gods that shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man who brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we do not know what has become of him." They very quickly got concerned because Moses was missing in action. And you know the rest of the story. Moses does make them a god, a carved image of gold. We call it the golden calf. The people rejoice. They make a lot of noise. And pick up the reading again in verse 7. And the Lord said to Moses, "Go get down, for your people whom you brought out of the land of Egypt, have corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I commanded them. They have made themselves a molded calf and worshipped it and sacrificed to it and said, This is your God, O Israel, that brought you out of the land of Egypt. And the Lord said to Moses, I have seen this people, and indeed it is a stiff-necked people. Now therefore let me alone, that my wrath may burn hot against them, and I may consume them, and I will make you a great nation. Now how could those people, after watching all that God had done for them so quickly, risk their future as a nation? God is angry enough to destroy them and start over again with Moses. We know that Moses argues with God or convinces God to not do that. He punishes the people and they go forward. But how could they forget? We're told that they were so concerned because Moses was missing. They either forgot or did not understand that God was in control. So easy to do because they had seen the face of Moses doing all of these things. But God was in control. I think sometimes it would be very good for many of us, if not all of us, as we're thinking about politics and the things going on in this nation, to remember that God is in control. He always has. He always will be. There's a couple of places. Romans is a very good place to go to look and read about God being in control of things. Romans chapter 8, in verse 21, we read that all things work together for those that love the Lord. Verse 31, if God is for us, who can be against us? Let's all remember, and we're going to see lots of advertising coming up for the next 20 months that extol the virtue of one person and condemns the morals of the other person. Let's just remember that God's in control. We can do our part, we can vote, but let's just not get caught up in all of the emotion that can be out there. God is in control. Tonight we want to offer an invitation to all of you that have any need of it. It can be for baptism. The water is ready. It can be for prayers. You know that we have an enormous list of people that need prayers, people that have major difficulties. From this congregation, former members, friends, neighbors. If you have any need for prayers or baptism, would you come now as we stand and sing?